Caitlin Clark did not enter the WNBA covertly. Nobody was surprised by her. Everyone knew she was coming right away. They witnessed the historic college run. The sold-out crowds were seen. They spotted the threes of the viral logo. They didn't anticipate that she would strike so quickly and with such force. She became the focal point of the WNBA as soon as she set foot on a court. Viewership records were broken on her debut. Sales of tickets surged. Due to her presence in the building the previous evening, attendance at even games she wasn't participating in increased. Her name, a brand larger than the league itself, is the best-selling item from her jersey. And the pushback followed all that visibility. Yes, her highlights were posted by the league. Indeed, a few players sent out their welcoming tweets and grinned for press day. However, observe what transpired afterward. When questioned about her, veterans began to provide truncated responses. The infractions became more obvious, and the hits became more intense. Clark, the league's top fan vote-getter, wasn't even chosen as her own team's best guard when it came time for the All-Star player voting. This is not an accident. It goes beyond simple competition. Growing pains are not the cause. There is a pattern. It's bitterness. Additionally, it is being filmed once a week. Let's dissect it if you're still not persuaded. Since the truth is clear and does not originate from the league's official Twitter page, we will show you the quotes and the video. It originates from the locker rooms themselves. A hard foul wasn't the first warning indication. It was the result of a smile. Former WNBA players, who are meant to improve the league's future, were interviewed by ESPN. Additionally, they didn't highlight Clark's game, development, or record-breaking popularity when talking about her influence. They assigned her a part.
I see just exponential growth of the game, right? She brings eyes to the game so that the next generation can come out and thrive. Just a dynamic player, just exciting to watch. Her villain origin story has started, and she loves to play into it, and the fans eat it right up, and so that we can see the next generation coming in and carrying it along too.
Origin of the villain. It was not Caitlin Clark who trampled on anyone's brand. She refrained from disparaging veterans on a podcast. They labeled her the villain despite the fact that she has been reserved in interviews, modest in loss, and completely focused on her team. Nor the fans, nor the media. Former athletes did. And it begins like this. You compose a story. The subsequent behavior is thus justified by that narrative. She portrays herself as a villain. Therefore, it's okay for someone to shoulder check her during transition. She accepts the hatred. It is therefore justified when players exclude her from post-game kudos. She is dominating the news. So, when her friends ignore her, that's what bad guys get. This was not a commentary. This was arranged. Clark was subtly reframed as a deliberate threat rather than a breakthrough rookie. And gamers quickly began acting appropriately. First to speak were the supporters. They chose Caitlin Clark over everyone else as the league's top All-Star vote-getter. The players didn't just disagree, despite your expectation that they would respect that. She was buried.
Despite dominating the fans' vote as the WNBA leading all-star vote-getter, Caitlin Clark, all right, she dominated the fans. But when it comes to the players, the Fever star was ranked as the 9th best guard by players. So fellow players rated Clark as the 2nd best guard on her own team behind Kelsey Mitchell.
To be clear, the issue here is not one of skill. It has to do with communicating. You can't watch Clark beat her own teammate by 9 spots while torching vets with 30-footers, leading a whole franchise in scoring and garnering more media attention than the entire league combined. This was not an assessment. This was a form of discipline. Clark only made a mistake by becoming too well-liked too quickly. And for many of these veterans, that's the part that hurts because they've been putting up all-star performances and barely making it to SportsCenter for years. Then a rookie with a television crew and a Nike contract shows up, and all of a sudden the league is focused on her. Thus, the players used their only available means of retaliation. She was defeated by a vote. You may be the people's choice, but you're not ours, they remarked. You may be ahead in impact and points, but not in respect. You didn't deserve it. Here's the catch, though. She had, since there was no indication of a lack of aptitude in that vote. It made clear how seriously the league is threatened. The sports world came to a halt when Kennedy Carter caught Caitlin Clark off guard on a dead ball. There was no physical play here. It wasn't hazing by rookies. There was only a sudden body check and no ball in play. And everyone had something to say. Some referred to it as only physicality. She had it coming, according to some. Next up came Nafisa Collier, a highly esteemed veteran in the league. This is what she stated.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Honestly, I think it's great for the sport. I don't agree with what Kennedy did, and she apologized herself. I don't think that was right, but just the coverage in general. I mean, any publicity is good publicity, right? And it gets people talking about the sport. It has, like you said, you guys are talking about it. Everyone is talking about it. And so that brings more eyeballs to the game. Again, I don't agree with what she did, but I like the fact that women's basketball and women's sports is such a conversation piece.
We should take a moment. In transition, this wasn't a hard foul. This was a deliberate action taken outside of play, and the league had a decision to make. Apologize or condemn it. Instead, Collier remarked, "Well, at least people are watching," with a shrug. When a league wants the publicity but not the responsibility, this is what it means. Did you see the engagement numbers, though? Is a common response when a well-known player is dropped. That comment exposes an issue with Kennedy as well as with everyone in her immediate vicinity. Because veterans are taking advantage of the instability rather than defending the game when they normalize unethical play by complementing the attention it garners. Additionally, it seems to be business as usual if Caitlin Clark must be the target of criticism in order to increase viewing. The contempt isn't always obvious. Occasionally, it's the person they fail to mention. Here is what Jewel Lloyd replied in response to a question concerning Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about our rookies. Nika's been great. She's been awesome, putting her work in. I think our Jordan has been phenomenal too, her second year of her growth. Our focus is our team and what we need to do as a community to be better. So I feel like what this group has in a locker room has made us better. And that's the biggest importance for us is focusing on our personnel and what we need to do.
Here's the issue now. During the discussion, Caitlin Clark was in the center of the media spotlight, radically altering the league's visibility in real time. Jewel also says nothing at all. No, she's doing fantastically. No, she has had a significant impact on the league. Just kudos to the others. It's not a coincidence. That is deliberate omission. The most marketable player in the league is being treated like an afterthought. Even worse, it has become the standard. You are able to lead your team in goals scored. Even if you sell out every road game you attend, your peers will still give you no credit. Because that's how you communicate without actually saying anything. Let's go back to a calm sideline exchange that didn't involve a foul, a vote, or a headline. One of the most well-known WNBA veterans, Kelsey Plum, is strolling courtside when she notices a fan.
You can wear that in the gym. Oh my God, look at this. Hi, how are you? Next time be better. Oh my God. Okay, ready? Oh my God, so awesome.
Thank you.
A Caitlin Clark jersey is on the girl. With a smile, Plum gives her a Sparks t-shirt and advises her to do better. She then strikes a pose with the fan for a photo. It appears innocuous, courteous, and even amiable at first impression. But pay attention once more. Perform better. After noticing the Clark jersey, she made the decision to fix it. Perhaps that's just a sense of competition. Perhaps it's a light-hearted prod to cheer for the home team. However, considering everything else Plum has shown us, this wasn't a single incident. Thus, it feels more like a pattern than a joke. The league had their All-Star Showcase at a different event. The athletes emerged with bold letter black shirts. "Give us the money you owe us." It was intended to be a time of solidarity, a protest for increased compensation, and a league-wide declaration from all players, stars, rookies, and veterans alike. Indeed, the same blouse was worn by Caitlin Clark. On the same court as her, she stood. She belonged to the same group. However, Kelsey Plum added something wholly unneeded when questioned about it afterwards.
Well, it was a very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise, but the t-shirt, just united front was determined this morning, that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
There was Clark. The shirt was on her. Prior to Plum establishing one, there was no public division. She could have said that we were all having a wonderful time. She had the option to stop there, to suggest that she wasn't entirely devoted to spreading the notion that perhaps she didn't belong in that circle. She instead took care to separate Clark. Therefore, let's not act as though this is a unity issue. Plum first advises a Clark fan to improve. She then gently raises the topic of whether Clark's squad was present for the league-wide solidarity moment. That isn't amusing. That's not being a leader. From a veteran who obviously senses the change and doesn't like the person at its heart, that is passive-aggressive politics. And Kelsey Plum does this just when you think she couldn't make it more clear.
No.
The bus was right here.
Going 2 hotels here.
Right.
Don't you find that kind of weird? Low-key? Like, low-key, come on.
A little, but
Okay.
I'm
really turned off right now.
I'm just a fan though.
I know. I appreciate that.
You sign one, you put my name on it.
One.
Awesome.
I'll sign one.
Can I get you on that one?
Yeah.
Keep killing it this year. Appreciate that.
That isn't the most popular trash talk right now. That is simply being annoying. Having ideas on a player is one thing, but making the extra effort to make fun of a fan for merely requesting an autograph is petty, especially from someone who hasn't been involved in the national dialogue for years. As if making a statement, she is passing out Spark shirts instead of Clark jerseys and then labeling people strange for their support. You cannot claim to be interested in expanding the game while disparaging the players who are participating. Because where does it leave the veterans who believed it would always be them if Caitlin Clark is already the league's face in just her first few years? That's the bit that nobody says aloud. It's frustration rather than rivalry. Additionally, mutual respect is lacking when participants begin to disparage one another rather than offer assistance. You may sense bitterness concealed beneath phony professionalism. During a game, a certain moment was captured on camera. Most likely, you saw the clip. Everyone did. Brittany Gurrier is murmuring something while seated courtside. Something that caused a stir on the web. People panned in. It was unsightly. The discussion immediately began. Was that a racial epithet? Was Caitlin Clark the target? Was it too much trash talk? Gurrier was asked about it and responded as follows rather than clearing the air.
I remember falling out, being mad. I remember falling out on, I believe it was Howard driving to the basket. They said I put my hand in. But hey, you never really have to look at this game, so.
What did you say?
I really can't remember what I said, honestly.
If I showed you the video, would that help?
No, it wouldn't help.
It wouldn't help, no. That isn't responsibility. Avoidance is what that is. Because people aren't attempting to provide clarification when they claim they can't recall what they said during the most contentious moment of their season. They are attempting to move on with no repercussions. And you know what? It was successful. There was only silence, no league statement, no fine, and no apology. Let's switch the script once more for a moment. The entire WNBA would have collapsed if Caitlin Clark had been captured on camera murmuring something ambiguous, but taken to be racial. Despite think pieces, panel debates, statements from sponsors, and teammates pulling away, Gurrier manages to declare, "I don't remember," and turn a go. She was not pressed. Nobody asked her to elaborate. Nobody remarked, "Hey, this clip is being analyzed by the entire internet." Perhaps a genuine response is warranted. Rather, it disappeared from the news within 48 hours. Caitlin was forced to sit with it. Act as though it never happened. Proceed. This was no small player. This was Olympic gold medalist Brittany Gurrier, a league spokesperson, and someone the WNBA went above and beyond to support while she was imprisoned in Russia. She also had nothing to say when it came time to treat someone else with the same respect. The statement, "I don't remember," sums everything up. Because Gurrier's remarks were not the only thing that were rude. The league didn't give a damn. The media showed no concern. The players showed no concern. The truth was not what they desired. They desired for it to disappear. And once more, Caitlin Clark found herself in the midst of it by herself. No defense, no protection, and no answers. More proof that everyone abruptly loses the ability to communicate when she is disrespected. Something began to happen off the court as well, even as Caitlin Clark was being elbowed, pushed, and ignored on the court. Rather than investigating what was actually happening, the media began taking a different approach. They began to reroute, in some manner turning away from Caitlin. Discussions regarding the increase in WNBA viewership. All of a sudden, lectures about sharing the spotlight were given. It wasn't limited to podcast commentators or sports hosts, either. Kathy Engelberg, the WNBA commissioner, even joined in.
You want to balance making sure that you're also promoting your other stars like an Asia Wilson, like a Brianna Stewart. Nafisa Collier killed it last year. I mean, she was the runner-up, MVP, and the defensive player.
Let's be clear. This has nothing to do with Collier or Wilson Stewart. This concerns Caitlin and how the league tries to change the focus whenever she gains prominence. It concerns the rationale behind positioning such praise as a counterbalance. Because who is elite wasn't the question. It was about Caitlin Clark receiving so much attention, and rather than providing an honest response, we received deflective information about things like attendance figures, ratings, cheers, and sold-out arenas. Let's ensure that we are also promoting the other celebrities. Translation: she shouldn't be the focus of this conversation. Before this becomes awkward, let's change the story. Here's the reality, though. Caitlin didn't take center stage. She deserved it. She didn't request a front-page appearance on ESPN. She made them do so by suddenly becoming the league's most watched athlete. Therefore, when the WNBA commissioner states that we must balance the focus, she is actually implying that the status quo is in danger due to the new energy. Rather of accepting the change, the league is attempting to control, soften, and reroute it, not via statistics or plots, but through politics and statements from the media. What do they hope to achieve? That fans won't be aware of. However, we saw it, and the cameras also captured it. Angel Reese has leaned into the shade, whereas other players try to conceal it with evasive responses and phony grins. She doesn't try to be polite or sidestep inquiries. She understands exactly what she's doing and is aware that cameras are rolling.